Reds, here we go. Because current Sporting head coach Ruben Amorim is on his way to the red side of Manchester and will officially be taking the helm on Monday to settle in with the board and other coaching staff as the boys will leave to join the national team just a week before. And we should honestly be really excited because this comes out right after interim manager and ex-assistant coach Ruud van Nistelrooy led the Red Devils to a 5-2 victory over Leicester City in the EFL Cup. Since Amorim will be replacing the man who led United to the worst ever finish since the 1980s, fans are understandably very excited about the appointment. And they're also very hopeful that Amorim can replicate the same success he saw at Sporting at United. For those of you who aren't as familiar with Ruben or Portuguese football as a whole, Amorim joined Sporting at the beginning of the 2020-21 season and went on to win the Primeira Liga title, ending the club's 19-year drought in his very first season. Throughout his 4-year spell at the club so far, he won a total of 2 Primeira Liga titles, alongside 2 League Cups. Under Amorim, Sporting has seen an unprecedented amount of success. As of right now, they're top in the league unbeaten. So the big question now is, will he be able to move on from Ten Hag, and will he be able to lead Man United into the new era that fans are truly, truly hoping for? So this is the 3-4-3, which is the starting lineup that Ruben Amorim will be using as Man United manager, or what we think he'll be using. This is probably what Manchester United will look like with our current players under Ruben Amorim. So basically in the front, we have a normal front line with a striker, a right winger, and a left winger. The right winger and the left winger will probably also a lot of times form a little bit more like 10s, like floating 10s. But a lot of time, and the striker a lot of time will be like a marksman, like the person that you're looking for in the box. Exactly what Victor Gyökeres was to Ruben Amorim, but we'll talk more on that later. Then you have a midfield 4, but 2 of those midfielders are going to be wing backs. So I'll explain why I chose these players later, but for now let's just explain the formation. You have 2 wing backs, and then you have two CDMs, which they form a double pivot together, and one is responsible for breaking up play from the other team and rotating through those wide spaces, and the other is responsible for linking up play. And we'll talk more about that in a second, like I said before. Then you have a back 3, pretty usual, nothing much. Ball playing back 3 that can play into those attacking areas. And then finally, obviously, you have a goalkeeper. And since we're kind of already here in the back 3, that's where you kind of start to see this wide formation. Like, for example, you can see how much space there is against Millet and Martinez. On a real football pitch, this space right here, that is huge. That right there is huge. And this is also huge. This is quite big. This is quite big. This is quite big. This is quite big, and this is quite big. So basically, you get the point, right? Amorim's playing a really wide formation, and the 2 players that will form, that will attribute to all this wideness, will be the wing backs, who for this I chose Alejandro Garnacho and Noussair Mazraoui. Before you start raising your eyebrows and telling me, oh, Garnacho's not a wing back, he's a left winger, and Mazraoui's not a wing back, he's a right back. Well, first of all, you should shut up, and second of all, you don't know how the Amorim system works, so you should shut up again. Because in Amorim's system, he likes to have his wing backs provide all the width in the squad, and he also likes them to act as wingers, who can overlap or underlap on these wingers. So that in Amorim's system, since you don't really have a creative player in this midfield here, these wing backs will form a lot of the chance creation, and they'll be responsible for, of course, those crosses, everything like that. Basically getting the ball into the back of the net. That's a huge job for them. But they're also responsible for running down the pitch and going to help out this back 3, because obviously this back 3 is going to be very overloaded when a group of people comes crashing towards them and there's only 3 of them. Boom, defenders just break through, go to Anana. So they are responsible for asking Euro to come in, asking Martinez to come in, and slotting in that space where they aren't, and taking up that space basically to form an anchor. Boom, perfect defense. And with this anchor, now you have a 3-2-5, which is what Manchester United and Sporting would look like when they are on the defense. So let's move back and let's talk about the defense, since we're in the defense. You have Martinez, De Ligt, and Euro. And basically, in Ruben Amorim's Sporting system, the purpose of defense was to build up from the back and play the ball far to the strikers, the forwards, or to play the ball to the CDMs. And then the CDMs would be responsible for linking up play. And not really Ugarte, because Ugarte will come into play a little bit later. But more like Manu. Manu's job would be to link up play here. So basically, that's the job of the defense. And now I'll explain why I chose them. I chose Onana because he is very comfortable on the ball, and he can definitely play it to this. He can definitely play it to this back three. And I chose Lisandro Martinez, very agile, very small for a center back, can also be playing the ball through. De Ligt, very solid, very hardworking, very strong. So your classic central center back. And then Lenny Yoro had that youthful experience, can give you great long balls, and just pretty good at overall as a defender. And then I will also talk about Mazraoui and Garnacho on the defense. Mazraoui obviously has experience as a right back, so he's pretty good attackingly and pretty good defensively. Garnacho has insane worth ethic, will be willing to run up and down his pitch, once again has that youthful energy that this Man United team has a lot of. Alright, so now that we've covered defense, let's move on to what this team will look like while in possession, because that is the main job for these two. Basically, while the team is in possession, the team might switch to a little bit more like this, which I believe would be a 3-4-2-1, where you have the marksman striker on top, two floating 10s who can move out wide, stay in, and then two wing backs who provide once again that width, that crossing ability, and that attacking lineup. So when this happens, now I guess we're talking about attacking now, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players up top, which is really overwhelming for the other team. And then back in the defense, you have two players who can link up play, and Ugarte, if possible, if the ball goes back, boom, Ugarte is ready to cover that space. They're ready to cover that space. And then De Ligt comes in to form a trio with these here. And now, technically, we have 5 players in the attack and then 3 players in the midfield to form creativity and to form solidity for the attack. Now, that's where Mazraoui and Garnacho come in, because they can come rushing back all they want to, which is why you need to have speedy. Martinez shifts in, Euro shifts in, and now we're on the defensive again. Super quick transition, a lot of flexibility, and a lot of variety in the squad, which is great because it leaves opponents feeling very bewildered, and it's very unpredictable to play against. So basically, that's how the midfield works. But now let's talk about how our attacking trio works. And for here, I chose Bruno Fernandes, Højlund, and Rashford. Although I will talk a bit about how Rashford can be replaced if he's not performing at his best, because very inconsistent player, and I would say that sometimes it seems like Rashford just doesn't adapt to systems that like he's supposed to. He didn't adapt to Ten Hag, he didn't adapt to Solskjaer, so maybe he's just not the one for adapting to systems, and we can definitely swap it out. But our attacking lineup, basically, these two are floating 10s. So they serve as the creativity makers for Højlund, and they serve as the receivers, who are supposed to feed the ball into Højlund. The reason I chose Højlund here is because he is very similar to Gyökeres, who worked under Amorim before, and who got like 70-something GA and 60-something appearances. So mad. He was able to create and attack, and that was because him and Højlund share 2 key traits. They're both big and strong, and they're both agile, very fast, able to break through defenses and serve that breathless attack that Amorim definitely likes to play in his team. So what I want Amorim to do with Højlund is I want him to turn him into a marksman, someone who is ready to break through that attack, someone who always has his eyes forward, looking at goal. Because if you just look at a few screenshots of Højlund under Ten Hag, you can see that half the time he was here, and I don't know, someone completely random was up here. It was so chaotic, and it didn't look like there was any clear tactics. It just looked like Ten Hag told Højlund, don't get in the way. And on the other hand, for Amorim, there seems to be a very clear lineup, a very clear set of way he likes to play, basically. A very clear identity. The only problem that I see in this team is that some players are not playing in their 100% best positions. Like Garnacho. I mean, as Ruben Amorim, you're going to have to experiment a lot because obviously, if something's not working, you got to try different things. And under Ten Hag, the formation wasn't working. So maybe asking Garnacho to just put in the work rather than to create something out of nothing could be very good. But we also don't know if he's going to be much worse. So it's really questionable. You also have Bruno. This is not his best position. And he likes to play more over here, likes to be more creative. In all, I think that this is a great way for Manchester United to go into the future. And give Amorim some time, really. Let him get things done. And we'll see the results, hopefully. Thanks for watching. Go ahead, click that subscribe button, click that like button. Collecting donations in the form of subscribes to fix my broken lamp, so if you would be so nice. Peace. Viva United.